Hey you guys, what's going on? I believe this is the third time I've done this type of video. This is just where I give my thoughts on the game. I normally have it out pretty soon after the game ends, but this time it's up a little bit later. I do apologize for that. This is just the earliest time I could actually sit down to record it. But just some notes on the game. Baker Mayfield still played really well. He didn't have the greatest completion percentage. He went 14 of 25, 320 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 pick. And that pick actually was in a pretty crucial point of the game, and I was super ticked off about it. And then obviously we got the fumble recovery for a touchdown, so that helped. P. Ryan, 16 carries, 65 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. Our run blocking still not what it needs to be. Mixon, 6 carries, 43 yards. He got his first rushing touchdown. He got 7.1 yards a carry. And P. Ryan, I couldn't think of his name there for a second. P. Ryan did have a couple really good runs. It's just our O-line is deciding that they don't want to block anymore. And I think that's a pretty big factor going into the rest of this Big 12 schedule, is that against these other teams, we're going to need to be able to run the ball a little bit better. D.D. Westbrook played really well, 5 catches, 107 yards. I didn't write down Shepard's stats because he only had, I think 2 catches for, I think it was around 30 yards. Deron Neal had that one really long touchdown catch. Deron Neal has actually kind of impressed me this season. Last season, he ticked me off a lot because he couldn't seem to catch a ball ever. But he stepped up this season. He's playing really well. But I don't know if I mentioned this yet. Just like last week or last game, we started out really good. Came out to like a 24-7 lead. And then at the start of the second half, it was just really, really ugly. We went 3 and out. They got the ball. And I know I try not to do a recap on this, but just kind of, I'm going to transition it. They got the ball, they scored, made it a 10-point game, and then Westbrook fumbled. That, to me, was probably Westbrook's only mistake of the day, was him fumbling the ball. I don't think he dropped a pass all day. And then they made it within 3, and then we just kind of never let them get close again. I think it did become a 3-point game at one point, but then the touchdown pass to Deron Neal kind of opened that up. One note that I do have written down is there were way too many penalties today on us. I don't really know. I'm going to say it was bad reffing, but it was bad reffing on both sides. There were a lot of ticky-tacky or nitpicking calls, and it was just kind of getting super annoying. I think there were 5 or 6 unsportsmanlike penalties. Oklahoma had over 100 yards just on penalties, and that was ridiculous. And I was getting super frustrated because every time there was a big play, there was unsportsmanlike conduct on somebody. Eric Stryker was an absolute monster today. He got a career high in tackles. I think he had 13 tackles, 2 sacks, one of them with the forced fumble. And just kind of a funny note about Eric Stryker. On the fumble return for a touchdown by Devontae Bond, Stryker was celebrating before Devontae Bond got into the end zone. I noticed that while the play was going on. I saw Stryker throw his hands into the air, and then Devontae Bond get tackled, and Stryker had no idea. But, we got the touchdown anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Zach Sanchez played decent today, except for whenever he fell down on that one kind of long pass that ended up down there by the goal line. My main problem with Zach Sanchez is he's really arrogant, but most of the time he can back it up. And today he played a lot better than he did against Tulsa. Our whole secondary looked a lot better than they did against Tulsa, and I think a lot of that is the fact that we got Jordan Thomas back, and we didn't have to put PJ and Banasaur out there. And I actually did not see Banasaur. I don't know if he played. I didn't hear his name, and I didn't see him on the screen. But if he did play and I didn't hear his name, that's good, because you never actually want to hear your DB's name unless they're getting an interception or something, because it's normally not a good thing, especially if they're getting burned. All in all, I do feel a lot better about our defense heading into Texas, who just got blown out 50-7 by TCU. TCU is obviously still a very good football team, but I'm not too worried about Texas. I think we will beat Texas, and then I think we're at K-State, and then we play Tech, and then Baylor, then TCU, then Oklahoma State. And the Oklahoma State game is actually going on right now as I'm recording this. I don't know the score though. I think they're in the second or third quarter. Not positive. But that's pretty much all my thoughts on this game. I think this was a much shorter video than the one was last week, or last game. But like I said, the next game is against Texas, Red River Rivalry Week, and that is always a tongue twister for me. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I should be able to talk to you guys next week.